Hey, it's me, MLB. Here's chapter 92 of Rapid Fate Online, and this one's titled Training with Praetorian. Glad to be free of you, Master said in a high and mighty voice to Tamajiki as he took his mahi and left, not even bothering to look back over his shoulder. Well, the burly man said to Tamajiki once Master had left, I'm not particularly interested in ego tactics, so I won't be making you call me Master. You can call me by my username. He pointed to the name above his head. Praetorian? Tamajiki said. The guy nodded. Roman guard. Tamajiki looked at him. Are you a guard in the game? I am, actually, the guy replied, not elaborating any further as he turned back to the guns and started to sort them in types. Is there going to be a war? Tamajiki asked, gesturing to the guns. No, just the usual buying and selling, Praetorian replied. But I don't want you to move shipments for me. I want to train you up as a guard. You've got good instinct. Thank you, Tamajiki replied. I'm assuming that you have some martial arts training in real life? Praetorian asked. Tamajiki nodded. Something like that? Good. Praetorian picked up a gun and placed it in his pocket. Let's go then. He headed past Tamajiki and out the door. Where are we going? Tamajiki asked as he followed behind. Slither trees, Praetorian commented, his comment making Tamajiki's skin prickle. Being in game many times before, Tamajiki knew what the slither trees were, and he didn't like them at all. They were trees made of snakes, their sentient limbs winding over and around each other, striking out at anyone who passed. They were quite ghastly looking, and venomous too. Again, not wanting to give himself away, he pretended like he didn't know what slither trees were, and asked as innocently as he could what they were. What's a slither tree? You'll soon see, Praetorian replied over his shoulder. Also, are you not concerned for your friend that your previous guardian mentioned? I am, Tamajiki replied, but I do have higher level friends who will ask to go and rescue her. If you need any help, let me know. I also dislike guys like your previous guardian, he said. I was quietly happy when I saw you take him on. If he dislikes people who abuse the system, then why is he still with BB? Tamajiki wondered, as he quietly followed on behind. All too soon the light through the sparsely spaced trees started to fade as the woods got thicker. A stiff wind started to pick up as the weather changed. I don't like this, Tamajiki thought, looking around. A flash of lightning in the distance, followed by the rumble of thunder, made Tamajiki jump slightly, but he continued to follow Praetorian into the dark bush ahead. He knew the slither trees were getting closer, waiting for him, and as they got further into the woods he became a lot more on edge. Looking around Praetorian, who was walking a little ahead, he saw two of the slither trees looming up, their reptilian shape twisting in the opposite direction of the wind, making it harder to figure out what was driving them. Okay, Praetorian said. This is a good way to see your innate skills. Suddenly Praetorian spun around and grabbed Tamajiki, pulling him by his villager shirt and shoving him forwards towards the trees. The snakes, having seen both humans approach them, lashed out, four at a time, trying to catch Tamajiki in their jaws. Tamajiki moved on instinct, and his hand reached back to grab the chain whip sword that he would usually have on him when he was in game as Butterfly, but it wasn't there this time. Twisting and ducking, he managed to avoid the front attacks, but then picked up a stick as he swept low to the ground and thrust it up into the soft underside of one of the viper's jowls. With two jumps backwards, he got out of harm's way and then looked at Praetorian. Not bad at all, Praetorian mused. You work with a staff in real life? Tamajiki just nodded, his chest rising and falling rapidly as his breathing rate spiked. Impressive. I did see you go to grab for something, so I figured that you would be used to working with some instruments. Tamajiki just scratched his cheek and looked down. Ever used a gun? Praetorian asked. No, Tamajiki replied. He hadn't even held one in real life. Here, Praetorian said, handing him a gun. Try it. As a guard, I have to be a sharp shot for people a distance away. Hand-to-hand combat does come in handy sometimes, but for the most part, it's those in the distance that you need to eliminate. Tamajiki took the weapon lightly and looked it over. This gun, in particular, gives you a red line during shots so that you can see where you're aiming. It's a good beginner gun. Tamajiki held the gun up with both hands and pointed it at one of the swinging and swaying snake heads as the reptile hissed and flicked its tongue at him. Like this, Praetorian said, giving Tamajiki pointers on how to hold it. After firing a few rounds and not getting a great deal of shots in line, Tamajiki looked at Praetorian. Are you not worried that I might shoot you? Tamajiki then asked him. You won't, for a few reasons. One, I'm your guardian. If you shoot me, you also lose everything as well. Two, I saved you, and you strike me as the type that's honourable. And three, I'm giving you training. Who shoots the man who's training them? Tamajiki shrugged and nodded. That's true. Try again, Praetorian said, gesturing to the twisting and hissing, snapping snake tree limbs. That night after leaving your bestie's house, you sent Tamaki a message to see how his time in game had been. He didn't reply. He must still be in game, you thought as you made your way to his house. Wanting to see him after being apart from him for a few hours, you knocked on the front door and waited. No one answered, so you tried his front door and amazingly it opened. Softly you entered while calling out a greeting, then slowly made your way to his room. He was there, on the bed, with his nerve gear headset on, so you lay down beside him and put your gear on, before calling for the game to take you away. You woke on the bed in Master's house, only to find a depression in the mattress beside you, telling you that Tamajiki had been there, but certainly wasn't now. Is he still in the house somewhere? You thought. You got up and walked softly to the door and peeked out. You could hear Master in the house and decided not to leave the room just yet, in case the weirdo did something to you. Maybe I should just sneak out of the house and go for a little exploring. Maybe Tamajiki has been sent to the markets or something? And there ends chapter 92. Stay tuned for chapter 93.